What's up, Tim?
Hey, Derek. I look at before. How do I already know the topic today before I even saw your beautiful face?
Here we go.
Let me tell you.
Here we
Let me
go.
tell you
Let's
something
see,
tough
tell
today.
me. Talk to me.
So I come home last night and Janelle says, "I know what the topic of your podcast is going to be." I said, "You do?"
How
She
does
goes,
she know
"Yeah."
this?
I says, "What are you, a psychic?" She goes, "No." She goes, "I was looking at the CAC page, and I saw Derek talking with Greg Woodstock."
Yeah.
So who don't know what the CAC page is? A Certified Aquascape Contractors, and it's a private Facebook group for us contractors that talk about all the cool stuff about ponds. But you were going back and forth with Greg and also some other members of the CAC
Sure.
about something, and I want you to repeat the topic because I think this could be controversial.
I'm sure it's going to be controversial. So there wasn't so much a back and forth as much as Greg had made a post about, I think it was socialized income.
Oh, ooh, yes, that's what it was.
And
Giving people money.
yeah, and I was reading it, and a couple other people had comments, and it just what it did for me is, and this is not what I'm saying is has nothing to do with socialized income. It spawned a story, if you will, of something that I watched on MTV back in the 90s.
Fighters, before we get into today's show, listen, you can't lead $1 million business with a broke contractor mindset and habits. Fix that right now with my free course, The Contractor's Code to Finally Cracking $1 Million. It's short, it's powerful, and it will change how you run your business. Hit the link below in the notes, grab it now, implement what we teach you in there, and I promise you your business is going to grow. Let's get into today's episode.
And it was a group of I'd say they were probably between 18 and 20s, and it wasn't Road Rules or the other one. I can't think of the name, but anyway, basically they took these ultra rich kids in their late teens to early 20s, and they put them in a house. And I remember watching this, and it was very interesting because they were talking about all the things that they've had, and they're talking about the thread counts of their Egyptian sheets, custom sheets.
That's the thing.
1,600 thread count, and I didn't even know
yeah.
what thread count meant at that point. But well, that's some nice sheets, like some really really nice sheets. And somebody had 1,800, and somebody had 2,000. I don't remember all the terms. And they were sitting there talking like they've been to all the wonders of the world. Their parents were obviously mega millionaires, if not billionaires, and they've done everything, like everything. And I remember one kid, as they were going through it, he was like, "Man, I've just realized that I don't have nothing to look forward to in life. Here I am, 21 years old, and I've literally done everything, and I have everything." And it took him going to a soup line. And obviously that was part of the show. And really one kid stood out to me because he was like, "Wow, like I felt purposeless until I went here. Now I know that this is my purpose. I can actually use what I've learned and use my money to help others." And what that made me think of is once you have everything, you have nothing. And I sat on that for a minute, and it was like, wow. So talk about purpose. And then what I really wanted to talk about, I think about if you are not happy when you don't have money, you're not going to be any more happy when you have money. Yes, there's going to be points in time that you'll get that thing that you've always wanted, and money does make bad things go away, and you might have some more niceties, but you're still not going to be any more happy. And that just got me to thinking of contractors listening to this, and the contractors in our Battleground program, and other people. If you don't have a purpose, you're going to struggle. And so did you hear that? You're going to struggle. And then I thought, wow, it's the struggle, Tim. That's the most important part, is the struggle. The struggle of obtaining those things, the struggle of not having those things.
The fun is in the adventure.
Yeah.
The Iliad and the Odyssey. It's a pilgrimage. It's adventure, and dude, I know money doesn't make a lot of things better. It's cool to have money, but it doesn't make all your problems go away. And not having, like you and I, when we coach, we try to ask the people we're coaching, what is your why? Why do you want this? And a lot of times they'll say like, well, because I want to have enough money so my wife can stay home. Okay, so if we had enough money and your wife could stay home, would that make you happy? And you dig down, and you dig down, and you dig down, and you have to dig down because the reason to have money Just to have money is not the reason. There's a reason for it. And if you think that once you reach that destination, say, I'm going to have enough money. Well, what is enough money? 2 million, 3 million, 100,000, $50,000 a year, whatever that is. And you reach that goal, will that make you happy?
No, for a minute, a day.
Right. A whole total. We can stop, we can celebrate that moment, but then what's next?
Think about that, Tim. How many times have you celebrated a goal that you achieved or your team achieved or you hit that $1 million? And it's really not that exciting, is it?
The second time it was a little bit. After that, it's like, okay, let's go back to work. You know?
It's like you want it to be, and I've always wanted, and we still celebrate. I think it's very important that we push ourselves and we celebrate, like birthdays and any of the other stuff. But when you hit milestones, we need to celebrate. But it's fleeting, and it just doesn't. It's like smoke. Like it dissipates, and I've realized that it's okay. So let's talk about this. I remember having to go to, it's called 50 Ford. It's a senior center. And I remember going there, and this is like, I didn't know my numbers, all so stupid. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to spray Roundup around this property for $25. And it was on a Sunday, had nothing else to do. Yeah, right. $25.
There's so many things wrong with this thing.
Yeah, already. I mean, the
chemical,
Roundup,
the money.
the Roundup in general is already $25.
Around old people.
Yeah, right. And so I take off and I'm heading down, and I get on, we call it Briley Speedway instead of Briley Parkway. And it's like, it's a Sunday, whatever, it's $25. And I'm driving along, and I realize as I'm about 10 minutes into the drive, I forgot the sprayer.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, man. So it's like, you know what? I'll catch this exit. It'll loop me right back to the house. No big deal. So there's a tractor trailer in front of me. And so I'm realizing that, like, last minute, I have to get off at this exit. So you can merge over onto the exit when it's a checkered line, correct? But when it becomes a solid line, technically, you're not supposed to cross that solid line. So here I am realizing what's going on. Tractor trailer's in front of me, and I merge at the last minute. So I cross the solid line. And who was sitting on the other side of that truck? A state trooper. So I get pulled over. I get pulled over by a state trooper, and I get a $75 ticket.
Ouch. For $25.
And then, of course, had to go back to the house and get it, and it's a bummer. But that's what was fun. That, like, we're laughing about this, and that's the struggle. And I was so frustrated about that day. But now I have a story to tell, and because of that, it's helped me understand my numbers. And of course, I would never do that again. And at that time, I didn't even have a spray license, so that was like this exacerbates into more and more and more things. But that's what we got to realize. Like, when you're struggling right now, celebrate that. And know that it's going to be okay, because it's called impermanence. The struggle that you're in at that moment is not permanent. Enjoy those times and be happy in those times, and wake up this just today, because this is the only day that we have. It's it. And it's the purpose. The struggle is in the purpose. So if you figure out your why, and I'm adamant about the why being extremely selfish, and the why is me. It's not my family. It's not my team. It's not my friends. If I don't take care of myself, I'm not able to show up for those people, which inadvertently is my purpose, is to take care of my family, my team, and my friends. So when you're looking for your why, don't think it's just your family and your kids. You have to take care of yourself. I talk about this a lot, Tim, and you and I talk about this a lot. You have to get yourself centered and right, because you can't show up and provide and be any sort of influence on people if you're a mess. So you can't be a mess.
I think at one point in my life, flying an airplane, it says, put your own oxygen mask on first. Mm-hmm. And I just never made sense to me until, I don't know, maybe in the last 7 years, because I didn't really think about it. But back then it was like, why would I be so selfish to take care of myself when it could be a child next to me or an older person that I want to help out? And the answer was, well, if you don't help yourself, then you're not going to be around to help anybody else. And it still didn't make sense at that time. But what you're saying now, and there's a lot of messages in here, right? So we started off with one topic, and we kind of the same thing, but it's a little bit different. Is knowing what's important to you, and you cannot be here to make the world a better place, to make your families have a better existence if you do not take care of you.
Yes, for
the long term, because this what you're doing now during your trip through life is the important stuff. The end is not what's important. Dying is not important. It's the fun we have along the way. These disappointments, these hardships that we have, the struggles that you and I go through, and everybody does, suck when you're going through them. But the question is, like Derek and I'm going through something kind of crazy right now. I'm not ready to share yet, but when I go through these things, I sit to myself like, this really sucks. It's like, how can this possibly be something to learn from? How can this possibly be a good thing right now? But I know there is. I just haven't found that why I had to go through it. And it may not be a lesson for me. It may be a lesson that can help somebody else out within a year or a month or whatever, a decade away. But it's part of me. It's part of my story. It's part of what makes me me. And you have to go through them. You got to have the ups and you got to have the downs.
Yeah.
But to have nothing, how does that, say that again? How we started this. I want to go back.
When you have everything, you have nothing.
You have everything, you have nothing.
And here's the point. When you really have everything and you've accomplished everything, you've done everything, you've got the sheets, you've got the 8 wonders of the world, you've got all the travel, you got all the family, you got all the health, you got everything. You don't have anything. You really don't. Because then what? Then what are you supposed to do? Because this is what I'm discerning, Tim, is like we're all shooting for this end game. No, because when we're done, we're done. I don't ever want to be done. I want to slow this thing down. And that's where we've had some very, very difficult clients because they were difficult. And the reason that they became difficult is because we didn't show up for them in the right manner. And we've missed some things recently, but boy, you think we fixed those? You damn right we have. And we're still going through it. I had another customer just yesterday ask for their deposit back. And I told James, like, no, it's okay, fair. It's $4,000 deposit. You can give them the deposit back, but you have to minus $500 because they came, they met with me, we had a conversation, they paid a deposit, and we went out and we did a pre-job walkthrough. The pre-job walkthrough was not a consultation. And she said, okay. And he turned it around and said, hey, that was a pre-job walkthrough. That wasn't a consultation. And I went, man, how did I miss that? So I was like, of course, give them the $4,000 back. We can't minus that. And I said, okay, moving forward, we have to put an agreement together when they sign this that when we come out to your property, even though you've given us a deposit, if you decide you want your deposit back, there was a $500 consultation fee attached to that. And you consulted with us. And if you're not okay with that, we're not moving forward. So we just updated that in our agreement. We're changing our whole agreement. And we've learned so much over these. We've had 3 jobs that went completely sideways, and we've worked them out. But boy, it is so fun. I get so excited about this stuff. I normally get really frustrated. I'm turning around. That's why I say I want to slow this thing down. Everybody slow down. Slow down. You got to enjoy the journey. You have to. And it's becoming, and people say that to us. And it's like, no, that's what it is. And you really have to. But then I go, Tim, I'm on a hike today and it was pouring down rain. And I went, nope, putting on my rain gear. And I was only out there except for one lady. She was just running in her normal workout gear, no rain gear. I was like, well, I look like an idiot. Fine. Good job, lady. Yeah. But I was starting to get frustrated, and I tell people to not be frustrated. And I was like, I should just be able to let this go. But I couldn't shake it. It's like, no, I can't shake it. I'm frustrated right now. So I should just ride this out. But telling somebody to calm down never works. Don't recommend saying that to your significant other. Never works. It's almost like get punched. I think it comes with a throat punch. But I was having the same feeling of I'm suggesting that you guys slow down, but you can't feel that. I can feel it. And my slow down is when I start getting frustrated. And even my boys were wild this morning. Wild. That was why I went for a hike in the rain. It was like I had to suppress and shove all that anger down because I just wanted to lash out. And I'm not doing that with my boys anymore. They don't get that part of dad anymore. They get nothing but love. And yes, I'll make sure that I guide them and explain to them. But they were just like, it's so funny. Reed's brushing his teeth. Hayes made his bed and he did such a good job making his bed. And Reed got upset about it and he just went over there and just ripped the bed apart. And I was just like, what is wrong with you? He's 5, right? It's like, what's wrong with you? He's like, okay, shove that emotion down, just suppress that. And then we get in the Jeep, we're ready to leave. They're not in the Jeep. The pond's overflowing because it's raining. Dad, check this out. It's like, cool, we got to get in the Jeep. So I started the Jeep. And then they get in the Jeep and they go, we forgot our snacks. And I was like, well, fine, get in the Jeep. I guess here it is. Accountability, sons. We're going to talk about accountability on the way into work. And there's nothing worse than on the way into school. There's nothing worse than a dad talk when you don't have any snacks.
Yep. And you can't get away. You're stuck in the truck. No radio on. Oh man, Dude, these are the things that make up where we end up. This whole thing, like, I can't imagine like starting a relationship with somebody and just like, let's go get married and forget all the juicy stuff in between that makes a relationship so special. The sweaty palms, the first hand holding, like even with a client, right? Talking to a client, getting to know each other, the formalities, being real nice, starting the project, getting a long-term relationship going with it. It all happens. You just don't show up and here's a polished, version of Derek Johnson walking in the door. You get the conglomerate of generations of people pouring into you like you pour into your kids.
Yeah.
You walk into a consult, they're not getting just you, your name. They're getting you with the 40-something years of experience of taking a breath on this earth. They have everything your dad ever poured into you, that experience, and his dad who poured into him. And that's a lot to carry around. But all these stories come together, and that's what makes you the version of yourself you are today. To eliminate this pilgrimage would be ridiculous. You'd have an empty shell of a person. So the good and the bad, and having poured into yourself and realizing that nothing is ever permanent. It's temporary.
Impermanence.
Impermanence, man. I'm Tim.
I'm Derek.
We will see you guys next time.